Hello and welcome to our very first One More Chapter read along. I'm very, very excited. I hope you are too. So in this Facebook Live, I'm going to be catching up with Ella Albright, the author of The Last Charm, our first ever read along title. And I'll also let you know how this read along will actually work and answer any questions that you have about it. So first off, I'm going to quickly explain the premise of the read along and how it's actually going to work. So we've chosen the incredible The Last Charm for our first ever read along. Each day over the course of the next week, we're going to be sharing book club questions, beautiful quotes, challenges, and competitions across all of our social channels. The aim is to build a wonderful shared reading experience, basically, and create discussions and hopefully, make friendships too through reading this gorgeous book together. So firstly, thank you so much to all the incredible bloggers that are taking part and helping us generate this fantastic experience. We couldn't do it without all of your support and enthusiasm. So yeah, thank you so much. And secondly, thank you to all of you as our community for coming together today to celebrate the launch and begin the read along with us. This is ultimately all for you. We couldn't do One More Chapter without you guys. So we just can't wait to hear what you think about the experience over the next week, and we can just keep building on it each time. But finally, thank you, most importantly, to the incredible author of The Last Charm, as without this book, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. So in this Facebook Live, I'm going to introduce you to Ella Albright, and I'll ask her lots of spoiler-free questions about the book to get us started on our read-along together. So, and then for you as well to ask lots of questions, just anything you want to know before we get started. But before I bring her in, I also just want to flag that during this Facebook Live, we'll be running the first of our many competitions throughout this read-along week. So first off, to win a signed paperback copy of the book for you and your friends, all you have to do is tag 2 people right now that you think would also love this read-along, and just tag anyone in general that you think would want to just get involved this week and just hear about the Facebook Live right now. But without further ado, please help me in welcoming the author, Ella Albright. Oh, she's just coming in.
Hi everyone. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Thanks, Mel, for a lovely intro and explaining the read along. I think it's an amazing thing for OMC to do. I'm a massive bookworm, so I think the chance to read a book together and to talk about it is really, really exciting. Mm-hmm. I've had a great publication day so far.
How's it been so far?
Yeah, I've literally been on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, talking to people and retweeting and thanking people. There's a lot of love out there for The Last Charm today, so I'm feeling quite overwhelmed and quite emotional, actually. So yeah, it's been great so far, and as you said, I really appreciate the support from reviewers and bloggers and readers, and we've had some absolutely lovely reviews on NetGalley, and again, I really appreciate people downloading the book and reading it ahead of time and leaving the review. So
yeah, thank you. Exactly. Thank you so much to all of you. It makes such a difference, and I think the majority of the people that have our NetGalley reviewers are also key bloggers that are taking part in helping us support the read along over the next week, so we can share The Last Charm with so many more people. We hope, obviously, throughout the week, which is very, very exciting. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone for joining in. As I said earlier, please just ask us any questions that you have about how the read along will work. And as I said, I'm just going to get to know Ella and ask her, to tell us about The Last Charm, basically. So yeah, first of all, I shall bring up my beginning question, I think, which I always like to do on the screen. It's a new, obviously some of you might have seen our book clubs that have been happening over the past few months, but now this is a new strand really of that all, because we can actually all read together, which is great. Anyway, so my first question for you, Ella, is can you tell us a bit about yourself and your writing journey so far?
I would love to, thank you. Okay, so in terms of my writing journey, it's quite a long story, so I'll just give the key highlights.
Yeah.
I had a near miss with Mills and Boon in 2002, so I actually started writing a really long time ago, And Meals and Boom books, actually, I think people think they're easy because they're shorter. They're usually about 55 to 60,000 words, but actually it's very difficult to pack a whole story and emotions and the conflict and tension into such a small space. So it went as far as an acquisition meeting, actually. And it was the first book I ever wrote from start to finish. And all I can say is, thank God it never saw the light of day, because
oh no, why?
Oh, good. I think, when you start out writing, there's a lot you don't know, and I just think that that was the right decision. That it was great that it went to an acquisition meeting and people thought it had potential, but they were right that it wasn't ready, it wasn't publishable. So I'm quite thankful for that. I kept writing, though. I had loads of encouragement from a lovely senior editor there called Tessa Chapcott, and I actually joined the Romantic Novelists Association for a year back then. Wow. I had a near miss with another romance publisher with a different book, but they wanted me to change the book a lot, and it would have moved so far away from the original story that I just didn't feel I'd be being true to myself if I went with them. So then, fast forward a bit, I put the writing aside. I had some more children. Yeah. I got married. All the life stuff. I did a qualification in human resources. I've been in HR for 18 years. I'm really happy. It's a great career. So I put the writing aside for quite a while. And in 2008, I had a serious illness, and I had to have surgery. And when I was ill, I remember sitting in a hospital bed thinking, if I recover and I get quality of life back, then I'm not waiting. What am I waiting for? Yeah. I love writing. I love, I've always been a massive reader, as I said, and I just thought, I've got to go for it. I can't just keep putting it off. Yeah. So I started writing in 2009-10 to be seriously published. I entered lots of competitions. I rejoined the Romantic Novelists Association, which, they're absolutely brilliant. And just anyone who's an author, I'd say join the RNA because of what it can do. Such a wonderful community. It really is. I feel like I've got a bit of a tribe in terms of I've got my fellow authors and kind of industry professionals in the RNA, but I've got all these lovely readers and people, and other authors on social media, and I've got my friends and family. But in terms of my writing career, it's the RNA that really helped me get published, because I was part of something called the New Writers Scheme, which I'm sure you've heard about, Mel. Yeah, but for anyone out there, do you want to tell them a bit about what the New Writers Scheme is? Yeah. So it's basically I'd call it a probationary membership. It doesn't cost very much. I can't think off the top of my head how much it is, but it's maybe £50 or £100. So I know it's a little lump sum for people, but in terms of what you get back, it's invaluable. What you get to do as part of that is attend the RNA events over the course of the year. Also, there's usually a conference in July, which obviously sadly had to be cancelled this year because of, the need to keep but the main thing is that you get to submit a manuscript, and it gets read by usually a published author, an agent, or a publisher, and you get basically a constructive critique. So you get a New Writers Scheme report. Yeah. And it tells you what works about the book, but it also, if it's a good report, it will be pretty, I'd say it was always tough love, but some really, some honest, meaningful feedback about actually how it could be better. Yeah, so important. It really is. And, it can feel a little bit, it kind of can take your breath away a bit when you first read the report, but if you put it away and then come back to it, I always found that actually, there were real kind of nuggets of gold in there, and it really helped. Yeah. I went through that scheme, I think it was four years. It was 3 years. And what I was doing whilst I was submitting manuscripts and fine-tuning them, I was also entering competitions. So I was entering short story competitions, non-fiction, that kind of thing. And actually, what that gave me was the discipline to write something short and to some kind of framework, and it kind of grows your confidence as a writer when you're entering those competitions. I was a finalist in one competition, then I was a finalist in another, and that gave me the confidence, you know, to think actually maybe I've got something here.
Yeah, to keep growing your practice, and yeah.
Exactly. So, and this is the short version, I promise. Fast forward slightly, I'd gone through the neuritis scheme several times, and I went to the RNA conference in July 2013. And part of the conference that's great for aspiring writers, it's not just the fact that you get to go to workshops and you get to network and meet, you know, I was meeting best-selling authors that I was absolutely,
which is amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, I fangirl all the time. But the best things about it is that you can book one-to-one appointments. So, you know, you send in the first chapter of your manuscript, and you get a one-to-one with either an agent or a publisher. Or if you're lucky, you get two or three slots, and you kind of you might see both, and you have 10 minutes with them, and they talk about your first chapter. And that's how I met Charlotte Ledger, who
and that's the wonderful Charlotte.
Wonderful Charlotte, who's now, I think her job title was editorial director or something like that of one more chapter.
Yeah.
We had the hangover slot. So basically at the conference, Saturday night, there's a gala dinner. And because obviously there's lots of writers, there's also lots of glasses of wine and lots of chat.
Yeah.
And it's a great laugh. But it does mean that on a Sunday morning, you might feel a little bit
it's a bit more difficult on a Sunday morning.
I met with Charlotte, and I just said, I was like, you know, lovely to meet you. I'd seen her and Young deliver a session about, it was Harper Impulse at the time, as an imprint. But I just said to Charlotte, it's lovely to meet you. Just to let you know that I have got a little bit of a headache. Actually, that kind of broke the ice. And she's like, you know, we've got the hangover slot. And it was amazing. Probably, you know, the best 10 minutes of my life in terms of my writing career. Because what Charlotte said to me was, I absolutely love the first chapter. I want to see the rest. And the magic words were, I will read anything that you write. Which I was I was bowled over by.
It must have been so incredible to hear that after you'd been working, you'd gone through so much to get to that point, to hear those words.
It honestly, Mel, it was one of those kind of pinch me moments. So she asked to see the rest, and I said to her, okay, but I'm doing another edit because I want to make sure that it's really polished and really shines before you see it. So we agreed that I'd have some time to go away and do that. In the meantime, I emailed her and said, you said that Harper Impulse are going to do some shorter formats. Are you interested in seeing any short stories that I've written? So actually, what then happened was that she loved the short stories. I sent her the rest of the manuscript, and she then emailed me one day and said, can I call you? When can we talk? So if you're an aspiring author and you spend time with other writers, again, those are magic words that you're waiting for. You know, when an agent or publisher says, can we talk?
Yeah. And
so I was like, I remember saying to my mum, I was like, I think it's going to be the call. And it was. Amazing. It was. So I think that was like October 13. Excuse me, losing my voice. She called and she offered me a full work contract, and therefore that manuscript went on to become my debut, which was called Crazy Undercover Love, which was under my Nikki Moore pen name.
Yeah.
And then the short stories were published. And then the fourth work in that contract was a novel set in London, which became Picnics in Hyde Park. But before that was published, Charlotte said to me, how would you feel about writing a series set in London? And I was like, yes, please. Yeah. Then I ended up doing the Love London series. Which was, it was 5 novellas and a novel. And the rest is history, really, I guess.
Yeah, it's a good, really solid writing journey, isn't it? And just, I think it just shows like how you've worked so hard, and you've kept going, and there's lots of really helpful advice in there for anyone who's an aspiring author out there, that you just, I guess it is, you have to keep going, don't you, really, but also find that community that you find really supports you as well.
It is. And I think the best the best piece of writing advice that I think I was ever given, and that I would always kind of pay forward, it is that it's just keep going. It's, you know, persistence pays. And I'm really lucky because my aunt is, I think she's Sunday Times best-selling author, but it's Sue Moorcroft.
Yeah.
Who's published by Avon.
Yeah. Our sister division.
Yeah, just won an award.
Yeah.
And Sue was always really supportive of me, and she looked at a couple of my early manuscripts, and she, you know, she said to me more than once, you know, you just need to keep going. Just keep going, it will happen. And it's really true. And I think actually it's really important to build resilience as a writer if you want to be a published author. You know,
absolutely.
We have knockbacks, and we have to take the chin. And it's okay to go away for a couple of days and maybe have a little bit of a, you know, a bit of a sulk and have a G&T or what have you. But ultimately, you need to come back to it and just send it out to someone else, or, you know, if you've been fortunate enough to get some feedback that's meaningful, you know, go away and use that feedback to make your book even better.
Yeah, absolutely. No, amazing, an amazing journey. So I just want to point out some of these fantastic comments that we're getting in the side, which is lovely. Hi, everyone. Yeah, let us know where you're coming to us live from, and please let us know if you have any questions for Ella Albright, as Nikki writing as Ella now. So like we've just heard about the writing journey, but we'll get onto the LastCharm in a second. But so any questions about that, or any questions about the read along, and please also remember to tag any friends, so you'll be able to be entered into the competition as well, which is very exciting. And Claire and Davies has just commented on your background, loving your notice board behind with all your post-it notes on and ideas. Yeah, can you tell us about that? I love seeing authors' rooms, and you can see where it all happens.
It's my storyboard for my next Ella Albright book. So
exciting. I'm a
visual learner, and I'm a visual person, and for me to be able to write a full book, I need to kind of be able to see it. And that needs to be really visual. So that the next book, and it's just it's post-it notes, and it's like pictures of Italy and that kind of thing. Yeah. And I had the same for the LastCharm. I was in a different writing room then. I was in another part of the house, but I had the poster paper right across the wall. Amazing. And I had, you know, I had post-it notes and stickies, and I kind of go through and tick things off as I cover the scenes off, or as I'm writing about things. Yeah. So, and that's evolved over time, actually. I used to be, so again, people who are kind of interested in writing, or authors, will kind of know the terms pantster versus plotter. Yeah. So whether you kind of fly by the seat of your pants and make it up as you go along, or whether you've plotted the whole book. And I started out as a definite pantster. Yeah. I've learned over time that actually I work better and I write more quickly if I've actually got a sense of the book and it's plotted out. So yeah, thank you for that, Claire. That's a good shout.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's so cool. We've got so I've got a couple of questions here that I'm going to bring up as well before we get started with some more questions about LastCharm. But Karen says, "Hi, how?" I think she means, who are your go-to authors when you find time to read?
Oh wow! I mean, anyone that follows me on Twitter or Instagram will know that I spend probably too much time reading.
I don't think there's too much time.
Yeah, when I should be writing or probably doing housework. So my go-to authors, I mean, so many. I split my reading between people who are in the genre that I write in. So it's very much commercial women's fiction and romance, or psychological thrillers. So, you know, quite different kind of genres there, but I love both for different reasons. In terms of actual authors, I've just read a brilliant book by Miranda Dickinson called Our Story. And I just loved it, the way that the story unfolds between the two main characters. I think it's Ottie and Joe. And it's set actually around a writing room for a TV show.
Oh, lovely.
So yeah, so I love reading books anyway, but if you've got a book in it that features writing in some way, so like another one that I read recently was The Beach Read by Emily, I think it's Emily Henry. And out with Penguin, and that's about two writers who are staying side, in two houses, in neighbouring houses by a lake.
Yeah.
They basically write in different genres, and they set each other a challenge to each write in the other person's genre. So again, anything that's kind of got...
Does it give you some inspiration as well then, like reading those sorts of books?
I try to be quite careful when I'm writing sort of women's commercial fiction and romance. I try not to read too much, because as an author, I'm really aware I'd never want to kind of subconsciously I wouldn't want to, well, it's not about kind of ending up in a kind of liable position, but I'd want to be careful not to start echoing someone else's voice or inadvertently like use one of their ideas. So I try and steer clear a bit, actually. So actually it's been nice, because the LastCharm took me a good couple of years to write around other commitments. I turned in my first proper draft last August, I think it was. And then from August to February, it was refining and redrafting and different layers of edits. Yeah. It did mean that I could go back to kind of reading in that genre again. I mean, Jojo Moyes, Me Before You, one of my favourite books.
And amazing that lots of people are equating the LastCharm to Me Before You feels, which is incredible and exciting. And I think we've got some lovely comments as well. Even I've just spotted Kerry's comment here that says, just been listening to LastCharm audio, sat sobbing. So good. Amazing.
Lovely, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I feel like I'm starting to feel like I think I've had some absolutely gorgeous comments on Twitter, and people DM me, and I'll get DMs at like 11 midnight, kind of early hours in the morning. People have just finished reading it and they just want to talk to me about it and tell me how they feel. And also I've had emails and Facebook comments. But I'm starting to feel almost single-handedly responsible for potentially the sale of tissues going up, because a lot of comments are, I sobbed, I couldn't stop crying, a lot that's coming through is, this book broke me, the story broke me, my heart's broken. So I set out to write a really emotionally impactful book, and I think I'm getting that I've managed that.
Definitely, yeah, exactly. That must be an incredible fit. And actually, there's something to my question of how did the LastCharm kind of come into existence, and if you could tell us a bit about the story as well, without any spoilers.
So again, kind of going back to my relationship with Charlotte, as I said, I met Charlotte in 2013. She's always been my editor, and she's absolutely, she's a lovely person, but she's, in terms of the writing, she's so insightful. What happened was, after the Love London series, I started working on a book, but it wasn't really working. And then I suffered a few bereavements, and they were really difficult bereavements, very close to me, members of the family. And I started writing for a while. And then Charlotte, I think it was an email, she basically emailed me and said, can you come to London and have a chat? I've got an idea that I want to pitch to you for a book. So of course I went, when do you want me? Julie went up to London and we met, and I think we spent a couple of hours together. And she basically said to me, I've had an idea around writing an epic love story around the concept of a charm bracelet. I think it was something on the lines of, she said to me, I think that your voice would really suit this story. The same kind of tone. So one of my Love London series is called Valentine's on Primrose Hill. It's very much, it's a novella, but it's very much about a girl who goes through something traumatic and is then, I guess, it's, the healing process. And she meets this guy called Leo, and he helps her recover, really. So it was that kind of, that had a slightly different tone to some of the other Love London books. We talked about that being the kind of tone. And I mean, I was absolutely thrilled. I straight away I was in. That sounds great.
Absolutely.
We then spent about an hour and a half kind of brainstorming. So we managed to kind of, I straight away I said I'd really like it to be set in Dorset. I do love London, and it was a privilege to write a set of books set in London. But I'd really like to do something in my home county. So, and Dorset is stunning. You've got forest, fields, the sea. I've always loved the sea, and kind of I'm happiest down the beach.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really wanted Dorset to be a setting, and Charlotte was, absolutely, let's go for it. We then we talked about two main characters and maybe the kind of people they might be. We started just thinking about, it was the kind of overarching story, but it wasn't.
Exactly.
So we kind of left it there, and we agreed that I would go away and have a think about it, and then I would send an outline to Charlotte. So I was actually on the way to France with my boyfriend at the time, now my fiance Mark, who, if anyone's read the book, they know that the book's dedicated. I think I've sort of said it's my love letter to him. And he's really wonderful, really supportive of my writing. We were on our way to France, and I remember I was emailing Charlotte in the car on my iPhone going, what about this for a name? What about this for a name? And what if this happened? And I think it was just, as soon as I had that kind of concept in my head, I was, it just kind of flew.
It all came together.
It did. I then spent some time thinking about the different charms and more about both characters. So Jake Harding and Layla Jones.
Yeah.
And I thought about the kind of time that it could span. And this is, and some people have said it, and I don't suppose it's my intention when I started out, but it's been described as a kind of coming of age story.
Yeah, exactly. You can see that, as it's like when you, with the, say the concept of the different charm bracelets, like it, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So thank you. So I thought about the different charms and what they could signify, what kind of events. I felt quite passionately that Layla and Jake needed to meet when they were quite young. And I then wrote, I think it was like a 20-chapter outline I sent to Charlotte. And I think it was only probably, 3 or 4 A-sides long. And there was kind of just a little paragraph for each chapter. And she came back and loved it, but she had some suggestions. And actually it was a really collaborative process, and I really enjoyed it. I would kind of just go away for months at a time and write some more, and then send some to Charlotte and say,
"Oh, that's so wonderful," because that's like, it's what you imagine with an editor and author relationship, that it is a collaborative process, isn't it? Writing ultimately at the end of the day.
It really is, and as I said earlier, Charlotte's insight is amazing. So like I said, it took me quite a long time to write. I changed jobs several times. We moved house, all sorts of things going on with the day job.
Yeah, well, exactly. How do you fit it all in? I'm always astounded with all the authors. How do they fit it in?
It's discipline and it's picking things up. So if people ever say to me, how do you find time to write a book, or how did you start writing? It was that when I made that decision back in kind of 08, 09, I thought, how am I going to get time to write? Because I think at the time I had 3 kids under the age of 8 or 9 years old, and I was working full time. And I thought, right, what can I give up? And I gave up TV soaps.
Yeah.
So out went Hollyoaks, Cinders, Street.
So advice: if you want to write, you have to give everything up. Think what you could give up.
Yes. Well, it is about what can you sacrifice, or at least prioritize in a different way in order to give yourself permission to write and to get the time. So that gave me 10 hours a week after the children were in bed, that I could go out to my writing spot and I could just write and not feel guilty. I used to pull some really late nights, and I'd write till 1 in the morning and that kind of thing. But it's kind of like, it's worth it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how I kind of found the time, and now it's just being incredibly disciplined, and it's prioritizing. And my friends, when I'm under deadline, my friends and family just kind of understand if I say something. I literally will say I'm being antisocial.
Yeah, and it's really important to be able to say that, and to give yourself that time and permission to write. I think that's really important. Even for anyone, it's a really important lesson to like learn how to do that when you just give yourself time to do something that you're passionate about.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's about following your dream, isn't it? And actually, that's one of the things about the LastCharm. It's about following your dreams.
Yeah,
you know what's around the corner.
But
so I think going back to that, we were talking about how it came into being and the process. So I wrote 2 massive chunks of the book. There's a writing retreat I go to usually every June. Again, Probably not this year. But I wrote 20,000 words, I think it was, the 1st June, and then 25,000 words the 2nd June.
Yeah.
And I just needed dedicated time to get it down on page.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had a kind of complete draft by last August. It did change a bit. I've got to say, this book's been restructured probably 2 or 3 times. I'm happy. I'm broadly happy it works now. I think that, you know, reviewers and readers feel that it works.
Well, exactly. And that's the main, you know, all the hard work changing, you know, mixing things up is worth it, obviously.
Yeah. And then, you know, we had some great editorial feedback from Emily Rushton, and we tweaked it again. And then there was obviously all the different, you know, the line edits and copy edits. And then, so yeah, we got a complete finished final version we're ready with. I think it was February this year. So actually, that's that's just over 3 years since that initial conversation with Charlotte.
Wow, it's amazing. And now I'd say it's all, you know, it's all paid off, hasn't it? It's been, you know, might say it's been a while, but like, it's amazing to hear that journey and how much work and effort and love has gone into the LastCharm. And I'm just so excited that it's, you know, that it's our inaugural read-along book, and that we'll be able to share this with so many people and discuss it with everyone too. So that actually leads me to my next question. So for everyone out there who is only starting the book now and reading it along with us this week, and that is, can you, without giving anything major away, tell us a bit about the story of the LastCharm?
Okay, so coming of age love story between Layla and Jake. They meet when Layla is 11 and her mum has just gone away. So that's not a spoiler because it's right at the beginning of the book. Unexpectedly, and she leaves behind a charm bracelet with 1 charm on it. And she moves, basically her and her dad have to move out of town for a while because of her mum leaving, can't pay the mortgage, etc. On the day that she's leaving town, Jake arrives with his dad and his mum, and he's 13, so he's a couple of years older. And he actually moves into her old house.
Oh.
And yeah, so they spend a week together. And then over the course of the book's really about how they move in and out of each other's lives.
Yeah.
And what they come to mean to each other. But the charm bracelet's at the heart of the story because Layla is sent charms. And, you know, usually the charms are to signify, you know, a significant event or some kind of anniversary or birthday. And, you know, she's adding the charms to the bracelet. And the story is told through both Layla and Jake's perspectives and through the charms. And I know I saw some comments a bit earlier where people were saying, you know, they really enjoy learning about what each of the charms, kind of what it was all about and what it stood for.
Yeah.
So, it's that kind of coming of age, in and out of each other's lives, how they entwine. And actually some of the best, you know, we talked about Me Before You earlier, which I take any comparison to that book and that author is, you know, again, I kind of go into girl mode. I'm like, but also people have been comparing it to Normal People. And I've just, you know, me and Mark devoured that TV series, and it was so articulate and it was just a really intimate portrayal of, you know, Marianne and Connell moving in and out of each other's lives and that kind of coming of age feeling. So when people have been saying the LastCharm reminds me of Normal People, again, I'm thrilled with that. That's, you know, brilliant.
Absolutely. So I think that sums it up, everyone. So definitely, if you love Me Before You or Normal People, both, then this is your next must read, and we can discuss everything as we go over the next week, which is very exciting. I've got some other really lovely comments and questions here. I think what you referred to earlier was Heather saying, I'm really enjoying learning about the story behind each charm. Yes,
thank you, Heather.
Thank you. And Zoe says, I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I love the cover. Thank you. I love the cover too.
The cover is amazing.
It just sums it up, doesn't it, as well?
The line drawing of Layla, you know, with her shoulder on, with her head on Jake's shoulder on a bench, sat together, that really does kind of capture the essence of their friendship and their relationship. And you know, I love the newer blue cover. I think that's a gorgeous, warm, inviting.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people have seen on Twitter and Facebook, but I've had my nails done. I don't know if you can see them.
Oh, beautiful! No, I've hide this so you can. Oh, that's cool. And you've got the little
got the chain, got the So I've got one of my really good friends who I've known since I was about 4 years old. She's just the most amazing nail technician, and I have my nails done with her every kind of 5 or 6 weeks, obviously barring lockdown. But you know, luckily I was able to go back to her yesterday, and yeah, she did these gorgeous kind of cover themed nails.
Oh, I love that. They're gorgeous. Oh god, I want to. My nails are terrible. I need to. Yeah, that's amazing. Oh gosh, I think every author should do that. I think that's a great idea.
It should be a thing. It should be a thing. And I've actually, it's quite funny because when I tweeted about them last night, I had loads of likes for that compared to, I think I tweeted maybe, you know, like a link to the book, and I had maybe kind of 7 or 8 likes, but the nails got, I think, like 60.
Yeah.
People really like the nails. So I told Sam she should take it as a, you know, a massive compliment.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I think you should obviously share her contact details with everyone, and you'll have all the authors of the RNA chasing her down.
Exactly.
I love it. Julie's asked a great question here. If there is a film made of your lovely book, would love there to be a film. Who would you cast as your characters? And congratulations.
I've been thinking about that because my friend Sam, who's the nail technician, she read an early version of the book and she loved it, and we were talking about it when she finished reading, and she put something on Instagram about it, and one of my other friends, you know, and her were having this discussion about, it should be made into a film and who would play the characters, and they were talking about it between them, and I was just like, yes, please. It would be amazing. I mean, especially with the setting of Dorset, because it would just, you know, it would just be really beautiful. But thank you, Julie, first of all, saying it's lovely. I appreciate that. In terms of casting, it's an interesting one. I completely, what's her name? Emilia is gone now, who plays Lou in Me Before You and Game of Thrones. Yes, thank you. So Emilia Clarke definitely for Layla. I love how expressive Emilia's face is. She really, just the range of her expressions. I think that she could do a really good job playing Layla and being able to show, because I mean, Layla's quite, as a character, she's a little bit Marmite. People love her or hate her. She has a lot of development through the book. You know, Jake is one of the characters, and I've heard this a lot, and it's lovely. Jake is one of the characters that people straight away just go, I love him.
Yeah,
he's a great book boyfriend. Wouldn't want to change a thing. He's so lovely, he's so supportive.
Book boyfriend, absolutely.
Yeah, I fall in love with guys in books all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But Layla takes a bit more time kind of warming to, and she has the greatest kind of development in terms of the story arc. So I think having someone that could really show the depth of her emotions and actually how vulnerable she is, and the way that it's her vulnerability that makes her quite spiky. Yeah, exactly. It would be great. So I think Emilia Clarke. I struggle with Jake because Jake, for me, feels very kind of unique. He's kind of a one-off. I don't know if anyone's seen. So there was a series of books, and it was the Strike series. It's detective books set in London. And there was a TV show made of it, and the lead actor, I think his name's Tom Burke, he was also in the Musketeers remake, which was on quite a few years ago now. Yes, I remember that, but I can't. I mean, there were lots of very nice-looking men in that. It's hard to remember the song. So Tom Burke, I'm pretty sure he's got a scar, kind of just above his lip, and obviously Jake's got a scar. He had a cleft palate when he was younger, and he had to have an operation, but he's still got the scar. And Jake's actually very self-conscious about that, and he doesn't really think of himself as kind of good-looking and really attracted to women because of some hang-ups and some things, you know, that happened as he was growing up. And actually both Jake and Layla are quite damaged in their own ways in respect to that sort of thing. But I remember watching the Strike series and kind of saying to Mark, oh, you know, he's actually really attractive and I love his scar. So part of Jake kind of came from him, but Jake's got, you know, he's got different coloured eyes. He's very tall and kind of broad-shouldered. It's really difficult for me to think about an actor who kind of epitomises like the whole of Jake and all the different parts of him. So I've kind of got me stumped. So I guess I'd be interested.
Yeah, if anyone's got any ideas,
who do you think?
Yeah. That can be one of our questions throughout at the end of the week. We can say everyone needs to come back and let us know who they would cast.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've just seen Julie's put up wonderful casting, Emilia Clarke and Tom Burke. Yeah, Tom Burke's kind of close-ish, but it is not quite. So yeah, I'm keeping an open mind. If any producers or directors want to approach us,
we're happy. You know,
I would love to hear who people picture acting, you know, in the part of Jake, because that would be lovely. Because I'm pretty stumped. Yeah. Yeah.
Let us know, please. And I'll keep asking this question throughout the week. So my penultimate question in our book club, but everyone asks us more questions as we go, but is to really think about for the read along. And whilst we're doing the read along over the next week, is there anything that you want your readers to really reflect on whilst reading The Last Charm?
Oh, that's really difficult because of not wanting to give too much away.
Yeah.
I guess what I would say is that there's a lot of heart and emotion in this book, and I would hope that it resonates with people and that maybe people kind of come away with a feeling of having learned something really about life. And I guess all I can say without giving spoilers away is that you never really know what life's going to throw at you. You don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
And it's how you respond and what you do with those things that's important, you know, in terms of moving forward. And I guess it's also that bit about life is short. And I think actually that's one of the things that I really loved about Me Before You, that resonated with me, was that idea that I think Will says to Lou, is something along the lines of, you know, that the kind of life is a privilege, and that it's her, I think he says to her, it's her duty to live it as fully as possible.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and
true. Yeah.
And that really struck me, and I am, you know, I'm a great believer in that life is short, that we have to grab opportunities when we have them, that we need to be brave, and also we should push ourselves out of our comfort zones.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I guess that's probably not a very good answer, but I
think that's a lovely. That's lots of different aspects for readers to think about whilst to keep in mind whilst reading. It's just
I guess the thing I just thought of actually was is to think about what is that Jake and Layla give each other, because I think that's an interesting one, because I think for me, when I think about relationships, you know, the best relationships are partnerships and compromise, but it's what you give each other.
Yeah.
You know, what do you offer each other as a couple and as a partnership? I find that absolutely intriguing. And actually, when I read books, if I don't believe fully that one of the characters has something to offer the other one, you know, isn't gonna give something to them in some way, you know, emotionally. I find it really hard to engage in their love story being credible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's we could think about that.
That's a good one. Yeah. So let us know let us know, readers, as you go through what you think. That's a really good question. I think perhaps we've got that already scheduled in our discussion questions that we're asking. So yeah, just to flag as well, throughout the week we'll be posting these discussion questions across our social channels. So please do comment with your thoughts. Can't wait to discuss as we go.
The visuals for the read along are just beautiful. And some of the book challenges that are being posted, I am so excited to see what people do with those book challenges. And sorry, I was just going to say that on Instagram, there have been loads of people this morning, bloggers, that are taking part, that have been just like picking some really nice visuals up of the book, or the book cover in a Kindle with lots of lovely things around it. And again, that hard work's appreciated.
So much. I'm just so excited. So actually, that leads me to my my last question right now for our Facebook Live, which is, we've kind of talked about, but it's, what are you most excited about for the read along? So the challenges.
I think the book club questions I'm really excited about, because, as I said at the beginning, it's that sense of community you get. And when I'm most of the books that I read, I will post about on, I'll tweet, I'll put something on Twitter or put something on Instagram, and I will say what I'm reading, and I'll kind of put a picture of the cover up. And it's because I want that sense of community. And when I finish the book, I go straight to NetGalley Goodreads and I post a review. And we know how important reviews are to authors. In terms of, it's lovely to receive the feedback, but obviously it's great to get the word out there. Then I usually kind of tweet and post about, I finished this book and this is what I thought about it. And it's because I want to have that conversation with people. I don't think there's anything better than reading a book and enjoying it and loving it, and then finding someone who's also read it and being able to chat about it. Because as we know, as avid readers, the characters become really real for us, don't they?
And you just want to talk about it with someone.
You do, exactly. And you can talk about, oh, didn't you hate it when so-and-so did that? What did you think about the ending? Or that's not what I thought was going to happen. So book club questions, I'm really excited about people discussing those different things, because I think it will be really interesting for me, as well as the author, to hear how people have perceived the book and what they took from it. Because when you're writing, and while I said that it was collaborative with Charlotte, you still spend a lot of months, hours, days, weeks on your own, writing this book in isolation, really. And you put a lot of yourself into it. And I always think of my books as an amalgamation of me, my experiences, the people that I know, the things that I've watched, the books I've read. It's a jigsaw puzzle. But it is difficult when you're writing to know how it's going to come across to the reader. So I'm really excited about that. And as I said, the book club challenges, and also, like I said, just seeing the visuals that people have come up with. And I'm obviously really excited for people that there are competitions, and then they get to win books, because books are just amazing.
Exactly. Just to say, so for the challenges, there'll be a series of challenges each day. We'll be putting ultimately challenging you to do different things. The more you partake in, you get points, and then the more likely you are to win our big prize at the end of the week, which is a massive bundle of books. So which I think is
great.
And there'll be also some other one-off competitions too, just so we can get lots of different people involved. But I think I'm excited about those, but I'm also just so excited to see what all our fantastic bloggers put out there, and how they feel the read along goes from their perspective as well, and how they feel like their community and just all of our communities like coming together will just be amazing, just to have that sort of like that shared experience. And as you were saying, when you're reading something, you just want to discuss it with people. So I think it'll be so much fun to be able to just discuss this constantly over the course of the week. I'm very, very excited. So
it's going to be a very busy week, and I've also got a blog tour going on with Rachel's Random Resources. So over the next week, I've also got, as well as the read along, I've got I think 36 altogether bloggers who are posting their reviews up every day. so that, that's been great. And I've just had people outside of the read along and the blog tour coming to me today and posting the reviews because they'd read it a few months ago and they know it's publication day. So I'm just, enormously grateful, really, for that support.
Exactly. No. Yeah. And so thank you. Yeah. Thank you to all of you out there that are watching right now, for all of your support and the continued support that I know will happen over the course of this next week and beyond. So yeah, I'm very, very excited. That's kind of all of my questions that I have for now. So I hope that everyone is equally as excited as us for the read along now and knows a bit more about the book and our lovely author Ella. But as always, please just get in touch anytime if you have any other questions. But yeah, so that's kind of all my questions, unless you have any other ones out there, anyone. But I think we've caught them all. I think so.
Yeah, people just talking about the film still, and
yeah, so exciting.
Shout out to Deb's car for downloading it on her Kindle. So I'm reading it because she's brilliant and she's an amazing author.
She is. Thank you so much. But yeah, so thank you so much to you, Ella, for joining us today and for writing such a brilliant book and letting it be our first inaugural read-along book. I'm very, very excited.
Made it a pleasure. Thank you very much, and thanks everyone for joining and for posting comments and for asking questions. It's been absolutely lovely. And I'm going to go and catch up with Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook now. Probably with a very strong coffee to hand.
Yeah.
So I look forward to seeing you all on social media. And thanks a lot for joining the read along, and thanks for your time today.
Yeah.
And thank you for the love for the LastCharm. It's really appreciated. And thank you, Mel, for your time. It's been brilliant.
No, of course. Thank you for coming. And I hope everyone's noticed that we've had brilliant matching shirts throughout all of it. So promise we're just on the same wavelength.
We are.
That was it. But yeah, so thank you so much. And I will I'm going to disappear Ella now, and then I'll just tell you a couple of extra things before we end the discussion. But so yes, thank you so much for joining me for this discussion. Speak to you soon.
Bye. Yeah. Thanks everyone.
Amazing. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us today to hear about The LastCharm. I, for one, am certainly more excited than I was already to get started on the read along, so I hope you are too. Just a reminder to please follow the hashtags hashtag The LastCharm and hashtag OMC Read Along across all of our social channels to get involved in the discussion and to keep an eye out for all the fantastic challenges and competitions to come so you don't miss out on anything. And then you can also see all the amazing blogger content that's going to start happening. I'm so excited. And then a couple of other key things to look out for are tomorrow, to make sure you check out our Instagram stories as the lovely Ella. We'll be taking over our stories, so that will be fun. And then next Thursday, at the end of the read-along, we'll also have the author Ella, aka Nikki, back on to be chatting with some fantastic bloggers on Instagram Live to discuss with you all finally what you all thought of The LastCharm after the end of the read along when we've read it all. So yeah, I can't wait to discuss with you this week what you think of the book, and thank you so much for joining in. So I'll speak to you very soon. Bye for now.